Welcome, everybody. I hope everybody's had a good week and ready to join us for Star Trek. Uh, hey, Beard, how you doing, man?
Doing well. Looking forward to talking about this. I, I've said it before that Deep Space Nine is right up there with Next Generation for like top tier Star Trek for me. And once you get into the Dominion War, it's a lot of fun. So
Yeah, it is.
looking forward to it.
Yep, me too. And Shieldwall, welcome, man.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me on. Yeah, DS9 is my favorite Star Trek. I like the way that the story is kind of set in the kind of the same location. It's not a new monster of the week or new planet of the week or whatever. It
Right.
has more kind of linear um, timeline that's a little easier to follow. Uh, Especially in like the mid season, it gets really good to where I believe it's some of the best Star Trek that there is. Um, it's really up there. Yeah, and these two episodes are pretty good. Um, and it's another case of Star Trek being able to be present in the presence in the present without like beating you over the head with it. So the stuff that we're going to talk about in these episodes tonight are very, uh, it it lines up with what's going on in the world today in a lot of ways, and they were able to do this in such a way as that it makes you entertained, but also think about it instead of what they like to do in at least in the last 5 or 6 years or so, which is to not entertain you and just preach to you. So I think it's gonna these are some pretty decent episodes. Plus, it's got a lot of '90s motif style to it
Yeah,
with their
yeah. The
clothes
the,
stuff.
the lycra clothing.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of everything is like this weird crushed synthetic velvet
Oh,
or whatever. Yeah,
Ooh, yeah.
yeah,
So this one starts off with the wormhole acting up. It's like pulsing on and off.
there's some jokes here, but I think it's too early in the stream to make them.
yeah. The show opens and the wormhole is opening and closing erratically, which is not normal. And some people in the Bajorans think it might be a sign that the wormhole entities that they worship as deities is sending some kind of signal, or it might be like a prophecy or a sign.
Yeah.
Um, and of course, Benjamin is the emissary for them. Um, so it kind of so they have that kind of thought, and then um, Starfleet is like something's going on with it.
Yeah.
So it's weird.
So they're as they're talking about it, you get a message.
Prior,
Captain, you might want to come see this.
and then you've got the like, Quark and Morn telling stories. Morn is such a great character
Yeah.
because he never says anything.
but manages to speak people's heads ears off.
Right.
He's apparently quite the talker.
Yeah, this is kind of funny. Odo is mad because Dax keeps coming into his room and moving stuff like micro.
Right. While he's resting in his bucket in liquid form. Apparently, he's not aware of what's going on while that's happening. I'm not sure. There's nothing he can do about it. But she
He's basically
keeps,
sleeping.
yeah,
Yeah,
she keeps breaking in and moving he's got like this jungle gym set up in there so he can practice shape shifting and stuff. And she moves it around, which is kind of weird because the character of Dax is a little like sometimes they do stuff with her that is kind of I don't know. I guess if you're a symbiote that's lived that many lives, you have multiple kind of personalities bleeding through.
yeah,
multiple personalities bleeding through, I guess they would always be female, but apparently that's not always the case. But
Well, apparently one of the hosts for Dax was a prankster.
right, exactly, which is why she will sometimes do this kind of stuff. But you have a great interaction here with everybody, and especially with Quark. He's really, the fleshing out of that character makes the show so much better.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So there's been an explosion at Starfleet.
Right, and a bunch of people got killed at a conference and a bombing, and nothing like that had happened in like a century, like 100 years.
Yeah.
And then they do a time index thing. Go to time index 4.2.1 and zoom in and enhance.
Zoom and enhance.
Yeah, enhance.
Pretty much.
Which was. Yeah, go ahead, Beard.
Oh, I was gonna, that was the trope at the time, as was the style at the time.
Yeah, right.
But no, there's pretty much just a changeling.
Right. Yeah,
is on
they're a
Earth.
vase right before it blows up.
Yeah.
Like I was kind of like, okay, was he changing to get out of there, or because the explosion, didn't kill it?
Yeah, I didn't quite understand how it did that.
Yeah.
Or survived the explosion.
But anyway, so they're like, okay,
Well,
so changeling.
Skilled changelings become things like mist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like making her come move it back.
Yeah, see, and they got all this like weird 90s modern art looking stuff.
Yeah.
It looks like some
That's what the future is. It's
exactly.
90s, mid 90s.
Yep, it's all 90s college kid projects used for the show. But you know what? It does set the aesthetic for the show though, because you can look at that and be like, oh, that's 90s Star Trek.
Yeah. But it's surprisingly, some of it holds well.
Right. It does.
Like even the uniforms right. do hold well. It's just the when they're not off duty clothing is weird.
Oh, well, yeah, it all looks like kind of, like, I don't know, like bad 90s like curtains and tablecloths.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's
and it has
got ordered back to Earth, and he's going to visit his dad while he's there.
Right. And the thing to keep in mind is with transporter technology and the transporter network on Earth, travel on Earth is like popping down to the store.
Yeah.
You can literally
walking through a door.
Right. I'm in San Francisco. I'm going to go to New Orleans for dinner. It's like hopping in your car for like 5 minutes or something to drive somewhere. You just transport over.
He's hears from his dad's doctor that he's not taking his medication or keeping appointments.
Right. And and he has his own restaurant and he cooks with real food that's grown and harvested, I imagine. He's got like crawdads and stuff. So
yeah. And two grubs.
Yeah, well, two grubs specifically for Nog.
Yeah.
Nog goes there for dinner all the time.
Although he is considering putting them on the menu.
Right.
Yeah. and Jake's excited that they're going to go back to Earth until he finds out he's going to be put to work
at the restaurant. Yeah, that's weirdly enough, that is kind of a thing. I remember I went when I was transferring from my very first base, I was going to go to England. I had leave in between, so I stopped at my grandparents' place in Pennsylvania, and they wanted me to go out and do all kinds of yard work and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I was like, what the hell? Yard work? I went ahead and, I
I'm
did
on
it,
vacation.
but yeah, I was like, I'm on vacation between, 2 assignments. So, but in their head, it hadn't clicked. I was still just like coming up there for the summer to them, you know.
Yeah.
So
Forgot to say hello to the chat.
Oh,
Hello,
yeah.
Lind. Eraserhead.
Howdy.
Hey, love it. There we go.
Howdy, folks.
yeah, it's always great to see people in the chat.
Yep, it is.
Yeah.
And if the chat noticed, we've got a little different thing going on here. Got a new streaming service trying out. So.
Yep. So that works. So
this is funny. They're in the holodeck doing the Battle of Britain, I think.
Yeah, the Battle of Britain. Yep. And then he's got like authentic British pints for him after. Obviously they're replicated, but
what did I tell you about smashing the glass?
Can y'all hear that?
Yeah.
No, the audio for the
Okay.
video came through.
Okay. He's like, no smashing glasses.
Yeah.
And watching scenes with these two is different now that I know that apparently the actors didn't really like each other.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, but they're professionals, so they act.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, what's his face? Guy that plays O'Brien. Dang it, for his name. Anyway, he's apparently pretty Irish and doesn't like hoity-toity British. This is what I've heard. So full disclosure, I don't know this to be fact. And allegedly, the guy who played Bashir, he considered to kind of be hoity-toity British and kind of up his own butt. And apparently, they didn't get along when the cameras were off, which is funny because they're best friends on camera.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry. That's
yeah. And then
tangent.
yeah, those are some nice jackets. Those things are expensive.
Yeah.
If you want to
warm too.
Yeah, a jacket like that, it's a couple $100. Those are like $1,000 jackets now, I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Man, if I had one of those, I could wear it like 2 days a year down here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to wear it if you wanted a heat stroke, you'd wear it in the summertime.
Yeah, I can get that on my own. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, they were all pumped to get back in. Now they're just kind of like, eh.
Oh, because they hear about the attack.
Yeah.
On the conference. And then here's Starfleet headquarters.
And we get a return actress in a different role.
Right. Because she played the Next Generation.
Leah Brahms, one of the designers of the Enterprise D.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
On Next Generation. She was in 2 episodes. And the last episode of Next Generation, in that possible future, she was married to Geordi.
Because Geordi had a thing for her. He did a whole like holosuite thing where she was supposed to help him as like a
he got a little creepy.
Generate her like personality and everything so that I can work with her to kind of figure out this warp cell problem, and then he winds up like getting feelings for her and stuff like that. So, which having seen this new Grok 4 thing with the AI girlfriend thing going around, it's not too far off, I suppose.
We don't
It
need
really
to go down that road.
But anyway, this actress played that, and they do that with a lot of people. They can get away with it with like people in alien makeup and stuff.
Yeah.
Like Jeffrey Combs plays like 25 characters in the show
Yeah.
over the course of all of the you know
Yeah.
more modern TNG and DS9 Star Trek.
Yeah, and they're
But I mean, like you say, you just see that with a lot of aliens, but also with some of the human characters, like
Right.
the woman who ended up playing Cassidy Yates, Benjamin's girlfriend, was in an episode of Next Generation. I just rewatched it not that long ago, and I was like, I recognize her face. How have I never caught this before?
Yeah, they have them doing all kinds of stuff like being nurses and like
Yeah,
helmsmen and stuff.
she was
or a red shirt.
on some doomed
Yep.
planet. Yeah, or red
Oh
shirt.
yeah, she had crash landed or something, right? And been in a ship for a couple of
No,
years.
okay. I'll be brief with my tangent. It was the episode where Worf's, because he's adopted. His brother was on an alien planet that was doomed, and he had married one of the locals
Oh
and
right.
wanted to save them
Yeah,
and beamed them up to the Enterprise.
right.
Yeah, she was the guy or the girl that married his Worf's brother.
Okay, so
Yeah,
that's the one where they're gonna beam them up so that they didn't know they were being beamed up.
right.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Yeah.
anyway, sorry. I've been watching
right.
a lot of Star Trek lately.
It's okay. Hey, you're on a show talking about Star Trek, so
Hey,
we're all good.
I'm on topic for once.
So they Sisko's like immediately made the head of Starfleet security on Earth to help fight the
Right. He's made because of their expertise with all of their anti changeling techniques they developed for the DS9, like phaser sweeps and blood sampling tests and stuff. And so this admiral, Benjamin, served under him when they were both stationed on the Okinawa, which was a ship.
Right.
And so that's how he knows him. Now this guy's the admiral, so he's bringing Sisko in because of his expertise. Plus, he trusts him because he's served with him before. That kind of stuff happens a lot in the military, where you know people that you've worked with before, and you have a level of understanding and trust about their capabilities and whatever.
Well, and you might think that a lot of the stuff they had developed, these techniques for dealing with the changelings, would have made it to Earth. And I'm sure they did in some reports, but Earth was so far from the front that they just kind of dismissed it. Nobody really cared. And we see that at the beginning of this episode, it's actually so quiet on the station, which should be the front of this conflict, that we have, Miles and Bashir playing games, and everybody else is like, it's quiet here. We don't know why it's so quiet, even though the wormhole's behaving weird.
Yeah.
And it's all playing into the
paranoia and
yes. So he's brought
you got to remember
because
that
he's got all that experience with kind of these different tactics and such.
That the Federation is so insulated from most things if you're on the Earth that they don't, it's been so peaceful for so long, they don't expect that kind of stuff to happen.
Bomb going off.
Right, a bomb going off or whatever, because they do honestly have decent security measures in place for like if just a random person wanted to do it, but they have no way of detecting changelings. The changelings are masters at infiltration and things like that. So
and like
also,
I said earlier, they could, the ones that are really good could just become vapor, and so they can hide anywhere. They can hide as a film on the side of a wall. They're not even actually the wall. So a lot of people kind of forget that, I think, when they're watching the show, because you just mostly see Odo, or you see other changelings behaving like other humanoids, but they could be anything. They could be a nut and bolt on a lamp in the background.
Yeah.
Right. And they never really explain, like, do they have retain the same volume of whatever
Right.
their mass is and just spread it out or change it, or do they become denser? It doesn't go into any of that. I'm sure there's a website somewhere that does, um, but anyway, so he goes back to visit his father and berates him about not taking care of his health. Um, and so they have that kind of, you get back and
Yeah.
have that conversation. And his father is in these episodes is like the moral compass. He's also kind of the old school. Um, I feel like he represents, in a modern sense, people that have been around before, like the civil rights movement kind of thing, and kind of
Hmm.
remembers how things were. Because later on in these episodes, you'll see like some parallels with some of that stuff, uh,
Yeah.
especially during the 90s as well. How people viewed it. Like, I don't know if people would look at this episode and see it the same way today that they did then.
Yeah.
But also, I think these episodes translate well into kind of like present day. Like, people in present day are not going to be like, I don't get it. I don't understand what's going on. Why is this happening? It, it's something that you can, wrap your head around quite easily.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Why it's happening.
So he eats some gumbo. It's like, oh, that's good. I
Yeah,
need
they got like giant
gumbo.
stuffed alligators hanging off the ceiling.
Yeah.
And I can't remember, this actor's been in a lot of stuff. I'm pretty sure he's dead now, but
Yeah.
back then. And then
Yeah.
Nog shows up, and they're like, Nog, what are you doing here? And he's like, oh yeah, I come in here all the time because your dad makes tube grubs for me, and he like specially grows them and stuff. And they got to, and this is where he says, the tube grubs got to be wiggle. They got to wiggle in your mouth. They got to be alive.
And ruins everybody's appetite
Yep.
except his. I don't know if you could ruin my appetite for gumbo.
I don't know. Tube grubs can turn you off a lot, especially if they're alive and wiggling.
Yeah, and this is all free. He does it all for free. That just didn't make sense to me.
Well, that's kind of how their weird economy works,
Yeah.
which is not. But when they trade with like the Ferengi and other places, they have to use something as currency, and they do.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
so it's you have a replicator for everything, but then so they trade in stuff that can't be replicated because there are certain things technology wise, resource wise, you cannot replicate. But I guess the thing is nobody goes unclothed, unhoused, or unfed, and apparently
Yeah.
they've totally gotten rid of mental illness and drug addiction, uh, and that's why I guess
Yeah.
everything functions.
I guess. And it is a TV show, so
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah. You can't think too hard about some things.
Yeah. So Nog is talking about a group called Red Squad,
Oh,
I
Red
Red
believe.
Squad.
Red
Yes.
Squad, yeah. It's a elite academy made up of upperclassmen.
Yeah.
It's like an academy thing.
It's weird to have an academy thing that's kind of like this Black Ops Special Forces setup, but whatever.
Yeah. Now for like real academies like the Air Force Academy and the Army, and all that, they wouldn't have that. But if you had some like civilian institute that mirrored like a military school, I could very easily see them having something weird like that where they're just kind of running around doing whatever they want. Not as far as like actively doing special ops, but they had like elite in-house unit that you had to be special to get into and all this kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, I could easily see that happening. And this guy's the president of the Federation, and he's not even a human. He's like some weirdo dog-looking
Yeah.
guy.
I like him though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that plays into some of the politics. Like, so he doesn't want to enact a bunch of like strict measures. And at one point, the admiral's like, well, he lives, he comes from this other planet, so he doesn't really understand what it's like to be a human from Earth. So he's not going to really get what we're trying to do here, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, so they bring in this
Surprise.
briefcase and set it down, and they're talking about, hey, we have an infiltration problem with the changeling, and he's like, I don't know, I don't know if we should be jumping the gun and worried about it too much. And then Odo pops up, and he's like, yeah, see, I got in here, and I could have like killed you and stuff. So
Or worse, replaced you.
right, or worse,
Yeah.
replace you. And he's like, so this is why we need to implement some of these measures that we brought up. And he's like, okay.
yeah,
Also,
at least the. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say we just kind of. I don't know why they exactly chose to do it, but they went back to the older next generation style uniform for Sisko once he went to Earth.
Yeah. Yeah, that's weird. I guess they haven't changed it everywhere, and it's like they're
Yeah, I know it had some overlap. I think I think Next Generation was done by this point. Yeah, it was. Because Worf's here. But there's always been inconsistency with Star Trek uniforms. I've actually watched videos where people try to make sense of it and nobody can.
yeah.
Well, just like the modern military has multiple different overlapping types of uniforms that are authorized all at the same time.
Mhm.
Like I I'd seen where the era where you had like the green Vietnam era fatigues mixed in with the camouflage
Hmm.
of right that they call it like a relish looking thing. And then you also had the desert uniform. And then as you progress, you had the multi-cams with these other kind of like
Yeah,
people,
the
only
chocolate
people that,
chip.
yeah, the chocolate chip. And then after that, you had the multi-cams that had this like desert pattern that you only got when you went to like Afghanistan or something. And everybody was wearing all that stuff at the same time, um, pretty much. So you can, and then if you look at like the Navy with how many different kinds of like dress uniforms they have and all kinds of they got like a summer and a winter uniform and all this, it's possible they could have had all this stuff kind of mixed up. And then you got wardrobe, they got to do something with it, or maybe you know the other stuff went to dry cleaning and hadn't come back yet or whatever, um, or they wanted to make it feel different being on Earth, so they changed their uniform up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even though that they have Odo show up here and demonstrate that it's that easy, he still doesn't want to go overboard and take people's rights away and stuff. So
Right.
Yeah.
he does submit to some of it, but not all of it.
Because those blood screenings are very invasive, and what
Yeah.
they wanted was blood screenings for all members of Starfleet and their immediate family members. So that mean they weren't going to be blood screening like random people off the street or anything. But if you had access, you wanted to come into a specific building, you had to get blood screened. And then they have this phaser array thing where it puts out a wide beam phaser, and apparently
Pretty
that
much,
will
yeah.
mess with the changelings. Now Odo had to get, and they have to adjust the power level to get it just right. And so he's been tased like 9 or 10 times that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I'm
That's fine.
done with this.
Yeah. But he recommends, okay, that was a 6 point, let's bump it up to 6.5. And that is something unique to a phaser, which sometimes you see they do, but you don't really, is they have different focal lengths of the beam and power settings and stuff. So if you crank it all the way up, but you do a wide beam, you can actually disintegrate a whole bunch of people in front of you if you do it right.
Oh.
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of range though, but it's more like a shotgun effect.
Ah. That's
And then
crazy.
and then of course you can turn it all the way up, and it'll disintegrate or vaporize most anything, or you can turn it down and just use it as a beam to like heat metal up or something.
Mm.
So there's a lot of
Like
different ways
weld
you can
through
use it.
stuff or cut through stuff.
Right, right. You can cut through stuff, or you can just heat rocks with it. I've seen them use that before,
Yeah.
where
Uh-huh.
they
Yeah.
put it at a super low power setting, and then hit a rock with it, and the rock will glow, and it basically becomes like a campfire. And of course, there's the stun setting.
Yeah.
Right.
So Nog here comes in. He's like, "And can I get your help?" He's like, "I want to join Red Squad, and they won't let me." It's like Cisco's never heard of Red Squad. What's this Red Squad?
Secretive.
Yeah, they get special training and this kind of stuff, but you have to be recommended by like an officer, and so he wants him to recommend him.
He's like, "Okay, okay."
And again, this goes back to, that in the military, that can be a lot of how things get done. It's more who you know than what you know in a lot of cases. I mean, the civilian world is like that too, but it's
Yeah.
really like that in the military for certain things. Um, and depending on what it is that you're trying to do, it can be the make or break about who gets selected for certain things. Um, So it can be a very faceless machine that just basically you're a number, and it's going to mindlessly do what it's going to do as an organization. And then there's the flip side where it's very specific, where certain jobs are aim pick and all this kind of stuff, and they got to know you and all that kind of thing for you to really get your foot in the door. So depending on
Yeah.
what the project is or whatever, um,
Yep.
so it's kind of the same
And
way, I guess.
going back to something you said a while ago about this actor playing his father. Um, yeah, he's been in a lot, but he actually has been in Star Trek before. I was looking this up. He played an admiral in Star Trek 4: The Voyage Home and Star Trek
Yep.
6: The Undiscovered Country.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I
Yeah.
knew he's been in there. Yeah. So and that's the other thing about the people that make Star Trek is they find actors they like and that they've worked with, and they just keep
Hmm.
recycling them, which is fine. I mean, you throw the guy a bone, he's good. Give him some steady work and stuff. Um, can't hurt, you know,
Yeah.
especially if they're good actors and they fit the role.
So they get into an argument again about him not taking care of himself.
And you got to remember that at the time, um, I mean, I'm not going to say there weren't like a lot of shows with like black families and stuff. There have been since the 70s, you know. Um, but for Star Trek, this was one where, it was very prominent. And they were good actors and everything. And it was, people liked it because it was a very positive, depiction of family life and things like that.
And this seagull has been in Star Trek before too.
I was actually surprised we didn't see anything about Boothby during this episode.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Maybe he's off on Mars. Because the guy that plays Boothby is also the guy from My Favorite Martian,
Ah,
that 60s TV
I
show.
Yeah, that's right. Eraserhead. They do seem like they play well off each other and seem like a real father and
Right.
son.
Yep. Yeah.
yeah.
So they're like, I've never seen a changeling change into a
Also,
bird before.
her name is Captain Benteen.
Yeah,
Uh, if does anybody else know where that
Benteen.
famous Benteen is?
Isn't that like a toothpaste or?
No, that's Colgate. No, Captain Benteen was with Custer. He was the one that was
Ah,
they split
okay.
the force, and he went on the other side of the river, and he couldn't get back in time
Yeah.
with the Gatling gun and stuff to help Custer. He just watched him get wiped out from the other side of the river. Um,
Oh, that makes it a little bit more interesting that she's promoted to the captain of the Lakota.
right. Yep.
Mm.
Yeah.
So Odo's like talking with him, and it's like he's acting kind of weird. And he's like,
Let me
oh,
shake your hand. Oh, you're a little squishy.
Oh well, because they can sense each other in proximity. So
Mhm.
somehow re- he was faking to be the admiral, and she didn't even know she was right next to him.
I was actually scrolling through some of the facts. The actor that played that admiral, apparently, I've seen some of it, but I'm not nearly as familiar with Babylon 5. Apparently, he played a similar character on that show, and they didn't like him coming over here, so they killed him off on Babylon 5.
Really? Huh.
They're like, you
I've seen
betrayed
I thought
us.
he was in a lot of like some other kind of shows, like soap opera shows or something.
Oh,
Uh,
probably.
I know I've seen him in his stuff before.
so this is the real admiral.
Right. So here's the thing. So what winds up happening is not good, but it's not like it's not a real threat,
Right.
right? So it's
Right.
not like these guys are just making stuff up to kind of like grab power and
No.
they're they've been taking crazy pills or something. It's a real threat that's going on and somebody needs to do something about it. And this goes into like um this is obviously pre 9/11, but the the whole thing with terrorism was kind of coming out in the 90s where it was becoming more prevalent.
Hmm.
Um and the one thing about Star Trek is sometimes they're a little ahead of things socially
Hmm.
and logically. So their thinking here
Well,
is how do you deal with that and what's the appropriate response to those levels of threat? And we're still obviously dealing
Right.
with that these days.
the best science fiction I, is kind of like prophetic for the like humans and society in general. It's not even necessarily the technology. Is the best science fiction looks at how people are going to be different when like if the future happens and we get weird e-girl AI things from Grok now.
Well, that's like okay, so subconsciously I knew that, having like played Cyberpunk and all that, that's a place that it could go, but I didn't expect it so quickly.
Yeah.
Like, so like look at smartphones, right? So we had cell phones and whatever, and I'm older, but you you kind of knew, okay, in the future, we'll have kind of things like what we see here. He's got like a data pad and instant communication. But never in my wildest dreams did I just think that I would wake up one day in 2007 and I would literally have a communicator from Star Trek in my hand
Well,
that
and
would be able
the
to
tablet too.
right. It's a and
It's
like the phone I have,
both.
I got my phone in my hand right now. Literally with this phone, I could be as long as I have an internet connection, I could be in the middle of the woods as long as I have electric power and I have my battery on and I'm connected to a cell tower. I can Google something, I can translate languages, I can take pictures, I can watch a movie, I can FaceTime, I can call, I can text,
Well,
I
and
can download, I can ask an AI
well,
questions.
and
Um,
and the best science fiction stories see that think we're going to get there. How is society going to change because of it? So the best science fiction stories don't even really become about the technology or the fact that you meet aliens that can shapeshift. It's like how is that going to affect the people that live in that world? And that's where you get the best stories when it's about the people,
Yeah.
not necessarily the tech that surrounds them or the
right.
aliens
But
that
I
surround
guess what
them.
I'm trying to get at is the speed at which it happens. This is the 23rd century. Like, okay, yeah, I can see, and by then we should have all that stuff, but not it just and and it was like USBs. I remember the big 3.5 floppies. Like you barely put anything on them. And next thing you know, you got a USB you can plug in that's 1 terabyte. And that was only in a course of like 2 years. It went
Yeah.
from where,
Hmm.
it wasn't that much to now you got, I mean, it was cutting edge and super expensive, but it was doable. Now you get a 1 terabyte. I mean, people don't even use thumb drives anymore, you know?
And now we're talking about,
Yeah.
implanting something in your brain that
Right.
you can, like the
I
Borg
guess
or
what I'm getting at
something.
is the speed at which it's all happening
Yeah,
is so disorienting, and you don't have time to like figure. And that's like the whole through line of cyberpunk, the cyberpunk game and world is that it all happens so quick. Look at AI with the whole Grok 4. I can remember, what was it, 2, 3 years ago, GPT or whatever wasn't even really, it was just basically a glorified search engine. And now look at all the crazy stuff that people are doing with it.
yeah,
Um, and so, yeah, it just, but yeah, you're right, Beard, how they're able to look forward like that and just write it into a show.
Yeah.
yeah. Back when they could write, now they don't know how to write anymore.
Now they have AI to it.
Yeah, now they have
Full
AI.
circle.
Oh, wait. Where is it? There we go.
Ah.
See,
Sound
you
bite.
give Jacob a little bit of power, and yeah,
Need to have a little raccoon, train a raccoon to do it all,
yeah,
the background
exactly.
stuff. So yeah, I liked how this just the juxtaposition here. You're dealing with the higher ups making all these decisions, and then it jumps down to how it affects real life people.
Hmm.
Yep.
So it's like he gets called home, and his dad won't submit to a blood screen.
Yeah, because Benjamin's got his feet in both worlds.
Right.
He's got
Yeah.
his son and his father, and then he's got his career in Starfleet.
Okay, that's either ice or styrofoam shavings.
That's like real ice, I think. Could be plastic shavings,
Yeah,
make it look like ice, but
they're like he won't, and they kind of make it out like, oh, it's just the old fella that not knowing anything, but he's right. He's like they just make an order and it goes out without even thinking about how it affects people's freedoms.
right. But
The
in
Greater
in that
Good.
situation, what do you do, right? How do you get people? People are going to resist that, but then and these two people, the Starfleet security, are just trying to do what their job, right? So now you have, and we see that like play out every day in the world.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I think they both get tested. Like, see, it's okay, but it's like, uh,
He, yeah, his objection isn't the I'm worried about the test. He's like, I don't need to take one.
yeah,
Right. Because I
You
am
can't
who I.
make me.
It's like people that if cops walk up to them on the street and be like, "Let me see some," and they're like, "No, you got to give me a good reason to show you it, and I don't have to. I'm on public ground." And you see that stuff all the time. Or it could go back to getting the jab, right?
right,
Hey, you need to take this, and if you don't, there's going to be consequences. And people that were like, "Nah, I'm not doing it because of whatever reason, but I have my right and I don't want to do it." Um, it's very parallel to this, and this is decades ahead of that. You know, but
Yep.
again, the writers could foresee that, and I think this actor, he's old enough to remember, um, you know, like the civil rights movement and stuff, so he can all of that parallels.
yeah. I also like this too. He's like, his Cisco's like telling his dad, "Can't you just,
Right? Can't you
just
just
one time?
conform?
I mean,
Right, for
all
this
it
one
takes is
time.
one time.
Yeah.
You do one thing, and then there's another thing you gotta hoop you gotta go through." And
So there's a lot of pushback, not just from, but this character kind of represents a lot of other people, right? So it's
right,
not just this one character, but you can see that a portion of the audience can like really identify with him.
yeah, he cuts himself. He's like, is
Now
that
see what
real
you mean.
blood?
Yeah.
He's like, you really thought I was a changeling?
Right. And he's like, well, I wasn't sure. Because that's just it. The way the changelings work is it makes
You suspect
so
everybody.
you're not, yeah, you suspect everybody. You're not really sure what's going on, which goes back to the like the thing in the movie The Thing, right? What
Mm-hmm.
makes that
Yeah.
movie so visceral and the core of it is you
Is
can't
that,
trust
it could be
anybody,
anybody.
right? But it also, on the flip side, there really is a creature that's replicating people, and if it gets loose, it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
So it's kind of along those same lines. There
Mm-hmm.
really are changelings on Earth causing issues, and they don't like the Federation. So they're an existential threat. It's not just a what if or a maybe.
Yeah. And I like what he says here. He says, if I was a good changeling, I would find some poor sap and drain his blood out. And every time somebody asks me for a blood sample, just give him that. And I
Just
think they
like,
actually do that later on.
yeah, that's actually they don't say it specifically, but there's some changelings in a couple episodes that pass blood screenings somehow,
Hmm.
and it's
Yeah, and
kind of thought that
Galron,
it's
Galron one
basically
of them?
the
Or, no,
no,
Martok.
it was Martok.
Martok.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of thought that that's basically what they did. Is they just made a little pocket inside their whatever form they took and just kept blood there.
And he has a heart attack, I think.
Whatever his condition is, I'm not sure it's necessarily a heart
Yeah.
attack, but whatever his condition is flares up.
Didn't really specifically say.
Yeah.
I think it said something about aneurysm because of his something.
Right.
Dang it, I had it there for a moment. But yeah, it's one of those things that these days you'd be in a lot of trouble, but they just kind of beamed him to the hospital and everything's fine.
And to Sisko's now questioning, maybe, are we going a little too far?
Right.
And Odo does reassure him that, yeah, my people are here, so you better do all you can to find them.
Right. And that's just it. They don't have any idea how many are there, how many people have been replaced. They can jump from person to person, stealing their identity.
Mm.
Yeah,
Um,
like what I don't know if this is the scene, but Cisco tells Odo, sometimes I wish I'd never met you. We never found your people.
right. Yeah. This is the scene.
Yeah, and
Yeah, and
Odo's
Odo's
like,
basically, and Odo responds with, "You know what? I kind of agree with you."
yeah. He's like, the dad's just been to the hospital, and he's like, he's already working again.
Right.
What a dad thing to do.
Yeah. And then Jake's like, you actually sat down. Yeah, I don't feel good. That also sounds like a dad thing. Yeah, I sat down. I don't feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like Jake says, you should be in bed. He's like, no, being in bed is if you're sleeping, making love, or what was it, dying.
Pretty much, yeah. Sup, cannoli?
Hey, cannoli. And then the power goes out.
Which is not something that normally happens because they're like, oh, it's a localized power outage, but it's not. It's a planet wide power outage,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which that's a
No,
super
you're.
vulnerability if everything is interconnected to that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, seems like that. Somebody should have seen that coming.
Right. Well, once they delve into it, it's like there should be no way it happened, but they figured out a way to get it to make it happen.
Yeah.
So then they're like, "How did you get here?" And they're like, "Oh, we transported up through the Lakota." Which, okay, if you know anything about Earth, right? There's like a giant, huge space station. There's actually multiples of them
Yeah.
orbiting Earth. There's a shipyard, right? There's a big, giant space station that holds like 5 million people or something crazy in it. There's all kinds of fleet spaceships at all times. So, obviously they can use the Lakota because it's part of the show, but there would be, you know,
Yeah.
hundreds of ships in orbit at all times because of trade and other stuff like that. Then you've got a moon base. You've got the, I think the shipyards are there's shipyards up by Mars and Jupiter and all that stuff. So, yeah, knocking out power to Earth is not going to shut the whole thing down.
No.
I mean, it's scary but there should be all kinds of like backup systems and whatever.
Yeah, and people are like, my pad's not working.
Right.
I think I think it still works as a display of how Earth
No,
has
it
been
it
so
does.
insulated
Oh,
for
yeah.
so
Right.
long.
Exactly. It's a huge shock and it shouldn't happen. But like I said, and they're also suspecting that it's going to be a Dominion attack because of the wormhole opening and closing. Like, well, what if they have cloaked ships? And they were like, well, where'd they get cloaked ships from? It's like, well, the Cardassians and Romulans, the Obsidian Order and the Tal Shar went there to try to do a first strike on their home planet and
Yeah.
the whole thing got flipped on them. So maybe they stole their technology and improved on it.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember how much time had passed, like a year or something between that. So they would have had time to develop and install it. So they're thinking that the wormhole opening and closing was cloaked ships coming in and out, and
Yeah.
maybe there was an attack on Earth going to happen. So they
Yeah.
used this power outage to get the president to put all of these kind of. He's like, well, what are we going to do? And he's like, well, I can have armed Starfleet people on every corner, like guarding and stuff like that. Basically, troops in the street, martial law is what they're doing, which
Right.
they haven't done in over 100 years.
Yeah, he says because it's declaring a state of emergency for the
Right.
planet, and I was looking at I think he said like other than the Borg attack, which would have been when
Right.
Card was Locutus. Before
Yeah,
that,
the Wolf
what I was
359.
looking at, yeah, before that, what I was looking at would have been the movie events of V'ger and that alien ship that came looking for the whales.
Right.
Those are like the only other times that Earth had been threatened, other than the Borg. And the
Well,
Borg, they had seen them coming for so long. You would think they'd be prepared, but they're not prepared for this sort of infiltration tactic the Changelings
Right.
have.
The other thing they mention is it's like we haven't had something like this since like the last World War, which was
Yeah,
quite a bit longer ago than that. And, because the eugenics wars were in between the world wars, I want to say.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
yeah. The events of the movie First Contact happened shortly after the Third World War, so that would have been short. It would have been the warp technology would have been discovered shortly after the Third World War. So that
Right.
would have been pretty far in the past, but still.
Yeah, that would have been
Considering the
2025.
Yeah, considering the destruction that in their universe that happened during that war, that would still be on people's minds even hundreds of years in the
Yeah.
future.
Right. So anyway, this power outage is the springboard for the admiral to then enact all of these stricter um, protocols, security
Pretty much
protocols.
everything the president had been hesitant about.
Right.
He's like, okay, let's do it.
Well, because there's a very long history of Earth of people taking emergency powers and then never giving them up, or
What?
having a
No.
revolution, saying everything's going to change, and then you're just swapping one bad leader for another. you know, and
I don't know what you're
it's
talking
just
about.
who's on the downside just flips is all. Um, so Holes in my eyelids. Yeah.
I need to use that for. I'm kind of I often get caught saying I'm not going to sleep. My eyes are just tired, and I fully mean it when I say it. Full disclosure, but I immediately start snoring. Yeah, and Benjamin's father does not like the looks of that.
Yep. To be continued. So this is a two-parter. Well, the other thing is right. He spots that. Oh, sorry, I was getting mixed up. I thought this was a different scene. Go ahead, Jacob.
Oh yeah, wherever they were, they don't need to be there for anymore. So bring them home. Mm.
And it was classified, right? So while every other unit in Starfleet was being activated and deployed, including uh like fourth year cadets that weren't part of the Red Squad, like every to get all the manpower they could get, they were taking cadets that had enough training and putting them in the field as well, except for this one unit which they pulled out. And they thought, well, they wanted to consolidate them to make sure that they were safe. But then he's like, well, wait a second, all these other cadets got utilized. So what's up with them? And then they got reassigned. So, of course, Odo found this like needle in haystack here, but it's like a weird anomaly. The other thing is that if there was this power outage, right? Why didn't the Dominion attack right then? That's when they would be vulnerable.
Hmm.
But they didn't. And it's been a few days. So he's like, well, I'm going to reopen the restaurant because it's been like 5 days or whatever. And he's like, but we're not going to have any customers. He's like, oh, yeah, we will. All of the people that
Yeah,
are guarding the place will be able to come in and eat. Right. Like all these people out here. Now, one thing they did mention is the admiral was like, well, we kind of saw something like this coming, so we stockpiled phaser rifles, phasers, and personal shields. They talk about personal shields, but you never see them in the show. The only place I've
yeah.
ever seen personal force fields in Star Trek is in the video game, the Star
Nope,
Trek
nope,
Online.
nope. No, I will throw this one out there again. I've been watching a lot of Star Trek. In an episode of Next Generation, Worf rigs his comm badge into being a basic one-hit personal shield when they're in the Western hollow holodeck
Oh,
when
but
all the bad guys become Data.
but I'm talking about where it's like a standard issue
Yes,
thing and people are running around wearing them. In the
I've
video
I've
game,
never I've never
obviously
got
it's like a shield for you.
yeah, I've never got the feeling that in universe and TV, which if you know some of the Star Trek lingo, there'd be memory alpha is the stuff that happens officially in the TV and movies.
Right.
In that universe, never gotten the feeling that they were very effective. It was more like a really expensive. You get like one hit, maybe two hits, and then you're done for. Kind of like how Starship shields take a couple hits, but then they're done for.
Well, it depends
So,
on the episode.
yeah,
Sometimes
yeah,
the shields will be like impenetrable, and the other one they'll take one hit and be like half our ship is dead.
yeah.
Right. Now,
They actually do address that in this series, and we get to that point later on with the Defiant having the ablative armor,
mhm.
which was useful because if your shields go down after a couple hits, they needed this thing to be a quote tough little ship, as
Right,
Riker tells
right.
Worf in one of the movies.
Well, the unique thing about a blade of armor is that it as you hit it, it doesn't just deflect. What it does is it basically eats the hit, and then the armor kind of peels off. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, for
yeah,
lack of to make it simple for anybody who doesn't know, for lack of really a better, easier, simpler way to say it, is it's designed to burn away. It's going to
right.
take damage and get destroyed, and hopefully you have more of that than they have of firepower, or you can take them out
Mhm,
before it gets to anything structurally significant.
right. He's the academy like commandant or something, I think. He's asking about Red Squadron. And he's like, "Oh, so basically he thinks that Benjamin knows about what's going on with him and he acts like he does." And he does this a couple times in the episode where he calls people in, acts like he knows exactly what's going on. He asks leading questions and the people give up information that he never had, although they think he had it. Um,
Confidence in a uniform gets you a
right.
lot of
Yeah.
things.
Also, he's acting head of Starfleet security, so it's not like you just can't, brush him off.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but both Cisco and Odo have been around long enough and dealt with enough red tape to think, well, that was weird. I think Odo says specifically, was it? I don't know which one of them. I think it was Odo said specifically that raised more questions than it answered.
Right. And now his father is like all willing to do blood tests. It's like, wait a second, you were against it. And he's like, yeah, but that was before we had like this big power outage and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Convenient how everything that just happened made anybody who wasn't compliant.
Right.
I wonder. Howdy. Yeah. They always have good back and forth. These two guys. Because oh yeah, Nox back. So tell me about this Red Squad. Yeah, he's like, yeah, Jake told me to just like introduce myself and just like whatever. He's like, well, I need to know about it. Well, they're supposed to be secret. I thought you were friends with them. Nothing's secret from a Ferengi for long.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Is it?
he goes very quickly. It's kind of like when mom says, "Hey, would you take out the trash?" And you go, "I don't really want to right now." And she goes, "You mistook that for a question." Yes, that wasn't a request. It was me being polite. But since you decided to talk back, I'm going to pull rank.
So then they get this guy to come in. He's part of Red Squadron. So now this is where he acts like he already knows what's going on, and he's testing this guy and all this kind of stuff. So he basically gets him to like admit stuff.
Yeah, he
And
knows enough to, but like
ask
put
the right
the like just
questions.
use it. Yeah, use the right questions and use his authority because nobody's really supposed to know about him, but he knows about him. So that's already an in, which gives him some credibility with this cadet who thinks, well, if he knows that we exist, that he must be privy to some of what we're doing.
Hmm.
Hmm. And he is currently head of security for Earth, pretty much. So
Right,
it's not
right.
like he
Yep.
doesn't have authority. Well, see, that's great. Good. But I mean, first of all, he's like, I was looking at the record. He's like, oh, we were told there was not going to be any record. Who told you that? And he basically makes it sound like they told him wrong, and that he pretty much insults the like skills of this group, this guy in this group, saying you messed up and counting on his bravado and his pride to step forward and be like, nah, damn it, we did it perfect, and here's how we did it.
Right. We had the codes, and then we were able to bypass the safeties. But then, it took us a while, but we were able to like disable the backups and stuff, and we were in and out, and nobody even knew that it happened. So basically, he told him how they brought the power grid down because they went to like the main distribution hub in Lisbon.
It was an inside job.
Right. And then this is when Cisco's putting all the dots together. So basically, it's a false flag attack in order to goad the president into going with these stricter measures.
Yeah, and I think pretty much anybody that is watches this, that joins us in chat and everything, there's all very smart people. I'm just going to go ahead and throw it out there anyway. The fact that false flag being like a throwback to the old days when you'd run up a different flag on your ship to attack somebody to basically pass the blame off. So it pretty much going after your own folks. You can justify getting away with whatever you need to justify getting away with. Mm-hmm. Hmm. I prefer the definition of the chain of command from Jane Cobb of Firefly. You know what the chain of command is? It's a chain I go and get and beat you with until you realize who's in gore and command. But even Odo recognizes that this isn't nothing that's happening right now is in the spirit of the existence of Starfleet. Yes, everything that they're doing does provide the ultimate safety for the people of Earth, but it's taken away so much of what everybody is, allowed to do in their freedom of movement and to just exist as citizens, that it's gone beyond the spirit of the
Well,
Federation. So
also
by
usually,
actually turning these guys in, Cisco's be adhering to more of what the Federation stands for.
right, because if you're willing to go this far for nominally to protect, where does it stop? Because then well, I'll take it a little further and a little further and a little further, and before you're a despotic dictator.
Yeah,
um
and they don't
yeah.
address it in this, but you have to wonder, anybody mid transport on Earth when all the power went out is dead. So I have to imagine that there's at least some fatalities that have happened from this, just so that they can exert all this martial law control over the planet.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, logically, yeah, I would think that if the person who was pushing me to do something shows up and goes, "Whoa, hold on, I have a problem with this thing that I was just telling you should do," I would want to listen to him. But it's also, the guy is gonna be, he's gonna be plotified as he needs.
Uh, Jacob, they're saying in the chat, yeah, it says offline next to you on our rack and stack here. I don't know if you can see that on yours. Do you see that, Beard?
Oh,
On the
oh yeah, I do
Yeah,
see it now.
it says offline. But we can hear you when you're talking, right? Yeah, I don't think the audience can't. It's weird.
Weird.
Yeah, we're using a new, it's EV Mux or whatever, so we've never used it before, or at least I haven't. So yeah, you should be good now, I think. No, it still says offline. Weird.
Huh.
Say
I've
something
not
real
used
quick.
this one enough to suggest a fix.
So I'm not gonna right. I have the stream up, but
Oh, actually, that might work. Your offline thing on your stack here went away. So give us something, Jake.
Okay, can you hear me now? Eraserhead, can you hear me now?
Ground control to major eraser head. Can you hear Jacob?
Hello there.
He's whispering.
you said fixed. Okay, good.
Fixed. Okay, good. Thanks. Thanks, Eraserhead.
Yeah, on your on the screen where it has everything up in
Yeah.
Mux, it said offline next to your
Hmm.
on
Yeah, I couldn't
screen
see that.
little avatar, but down at the bottom where we're all lined up, it didn't have anything there. So
Yeah, that was strange.
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
Oh well, part of
Here we
learning a
go.
new system.
So I think he just leaves him with, I'll think about this. So he shows up. It's like, so he tries the small talk with, "Oh, this is good coffee." It's like, and Sisko, the look on his face is like, "Do I look like I want to small talk to you?"
because he figured out that he's probably behind it. What was going on?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's like trying to convince him, like, "You were one of my best officers when we served together, and you should join my side."
Is this the part where they talk about where when he was an executive officer, how he tried to they were going to go into this nebula for the Zincathi or something they were fighting, and he was against them going in. So after the meeting, he came in his office, and that's when he explained to him, "Hey, the chain of command, like while we're in the meeting, it's okay to bring it up, but once I make my decision, you can't come in here and try to you know, keep changing my mind on it and stuff. It's like I said, we're going to do it, and the chain of command says that we're going to do it." And he's like, and it turned out I was right to do it. And he says, "Yeah, that time you were." Um, but this is a different situation.
Yeah. So he sees he's not going to win him over, and he says, "You're relieved of command here, and you go
Yeah,
back
go
to
back to
DS9. Go
DS9.
home. You don't belong here."
And this is when Sisko's like, "Well, I got some leave, so I'm going to stay on Earth." And this is when they're like, "We need somebody to come in and do this, but we don't want to pay any other new actors and stuff, so
Yeah.
we're just going to have Cole Meany do it."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I think it works too, because
Yeah,
I
it
mean
does.
it's a changeling,
Right.
but yeah.
He's like, "Hey, Chief, what are you doing here?" And then he figures out in about 2 seconds, hey, that's not Chief. It's a changeling, basically coming to taunt him. And he tells him, there's literally only 4 of us on the planet and causing this much problems.
Yeah. And they're not really doing it. They didn't do all they did was that bombing. But
right.
they're not doing anything else. They're just sitting back and watching their handiwork.
Right. Exactly. And, looking for opportunities to do stuff.
Yeah.
Because there is no secret Dominion fleet that came through the wormhole or anything. It's just these guys on the planet. Why he told them there were only 4, who knows? Maybe he's lying. But maybe there's thousands of them. Or maybe there's only this one. Who knows?
Yeah.
Would have been super gangster.
He's got a point. He says if there is only 4 and this much chaos was caused, so I kind of think he's trying to like push Sisko to be more extreme, which sounds contradictory. But I think they're seeing an opportunity where if they get Sisko to realize that if only 4 of them did this, we need to lock down the planet more, going to cause more distrust and instability in the Federation itself.
Right. But they're kind of gloating and messing with him. I was gonna say it would have been gangster if like under his left arm he had like a phaser and he was just like disintegrating. Like after the conversation, he'd be like, "Yeah, that's cool." Did you see me when I played Hawk on Spencer?
Yeah, just about every scene they have together is great.
The other thing is that a changeling could have just wring his neck right there.
Yeah. And if you remember the scene in another episode where the Klingons shoot the changeling with their disruptors, and it takes like a whole bunch of shots to take it out.
Yeah, it does. If you play the Star Trek Online game, if you fought one, it was like a major boss. Basically, you had to shoot the crap out of it.
His dad's like, "You're brooding, aren't you?" And his dad tells him about it. Do you remember that such and such girl that you spent all this time worrying and brooding about and not asking her out? And I told you, sometimes you got to do things. So he goes and asks her out, and she says no.
Yeah.
But then the next girl that moves into town, he immediately goes and asks and dates her for 3 years. So his dad's like, time to stop brooding and do something.
I remember when I saw these episodes when they first aired in the 90s, I thought they were kind of boring. But now that I'm like older and just rewatching DS9 in general, compared to the stuff that's on TV today, it's so much better.
Yeah.
that these all look, all the episodes are, for the most part, are better than I remember them being when I first watched it.
Yeah. So he contacts what is it the Defiant he contacts or DS9?
DS9. He uses a Bajoran. She's like, "Why are you on a Bajoran channel?"
Yeah.
And because he knows that basically it's a Bajoran like military channel that the station won't monitor.
Yeah. It's like, I've got something to do, something I want you to do. So Odo hacks the
right.
What does Sisko say? I didn't think it'd be so easy to hack Starfleet security. He's like, everything I learned from Quark.
From Quark, right? That's all Quark's codes and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're seeing all these, people that used to work under the admiral getting
Yeah, he's
transferred
basically
key places.
appointed all of the most loyal people to all of the most important places.
Right. They're moving people around, and it's all their handpicked people, and it's all for June 14th.
June 14th?
Yeah, I think that was the day, or the
Oh, I'm thinking of
14th,
June 19th. I'm sorry.
or the 14th of whatever month it was going to be, or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So there's something happening. They don't know what, but something has to be happening.
There's supposed to be
So,
the
like,
president is supposed to give a speech that day,
oh yeah, that's right.
and then what they're probably going to do is hijack the speech and give the "Hey, we're in charge now" kind of thing.
And then Bintine walks in.
And they were
It's
like,
like,
"What are
hey,
you doing?"
fellas,
He's like,
Hey
"Oh, I'm
guys,
just
what you doing?
uploading
I'm
some
just getting my
files."
iPad. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, getting some files so I can bounce out. And then she's like, "I thought you were going back to DS9." He's like, "I got some leave, so I thought I'd stay on Earth," which is reasonable, right? So,
Yeah,
Right.
he's got family there. Makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah. I've heard that these uniforms were more uncomfortable for the women to wear. I don't know if it was cut different. Just
Oh, I know in general they were uncomfortable. They were way
yeah.
more comfortable than the first version of the early seasons of Next Generation, which were
Yeah.
basically just wetsuit material.
Oh gosh.
But they were apparently were so cheap, itchy, and hot, and were so rarely washed that
Oh.
Gates McFadden, Dr. Crusher, had her own tailor make her own uniform out of much better material because the studio wouldn't pay for better material.
Oh, that's
Right, right. They were just using whatever, like
Oh yeah,
carpet material or curtain fabric or something.
yeah. And there's color inconsistencies. You can tell that some of the ones are like a couple years old and have been worn by
Right. Yeah,
extras
they've
for a
been
while.
laundered one or two times, so
yeah.
they're all
Yeah,
washed out. Yeah.
but in general, they've always looked really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But again, that happens with uniforms. If you wash like a camouflaged uniform 10 times, it'll fade a lot
Oh
more
yeah.
than if it's brand new.
Got to make sure you wear your old pants with your old top, not mix and
Yep.
match because it's
Yeah. If
rarely
you mix and
obvious.
match, yep, you'll be able to tell the difference. Well, the other thing is a lot of times if you, especially in maintenance, you take your top off, right? So your pants would wear out. They'd get dirty and worn way more than your top because you were never wearing your outer blouse hardly at all. Um,
Yeah.
so they would wind up being this. You bought them at the same time, but they would look older. And then there were the guys that got their stuff dry cleaned and so often that we had guys that were wearing the old like black and green camouflage, but it was so faded it looked like
Oh yeah.
negatives. It was almost white. It was weird. We were like, dude, you gotta buy a new uniform. That's not cutting it.
So Cisco shows up to the president's office, and the admiral's there, and they like force him to take a get a jab. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean a blood test.
A blood test, right? And then it turns out that somehow they faked it to make it look like it was a changeling.
Yeah.
So they throw him in the brig.
I mean, she has this look on her face like this is not right, but I'm going to go through it. But they're people that aren't going along with their scheme. They're making them uh, look bad. It's like it's that you do one thing and then you do another. Then we're up to the point where the in a little bit here they say that the entire Defiant crew are all changelings.
Right. Right. And but at what point it could be true, you
Yeah.
know? And here's the other thing. In order for this whole like conspiracy to go off, you don't need you don't need like hundreds of people to be in on it. You only need a couple of key people in positions of power to be in on it, and everyone else will fall in line. Kind of like how in the movie They Live, not every person that was doing stuff like keeping people suppressed and whatever was an alien. Most of them weren't. They were just humans going along because they were part of the system. And all you had to do was take the system over, and then you could get them to do these things. So yeah, so now he's
kind of gloating almost.
right. He's basically, saying, "Hey, look, I had to do what I had to do, and I'm going to keep you in here until this is all over, and then I'll let you out."
Yeah.
Once he's consolidated his control.
Right.
Can't have somebody out there talking, the truth when you're trying to get control.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He's basically trying to justify himself and make himself and convince himself, really, that what I'm doing is right.
I think I want to say I believe that character thinks he's doing the right thing.
He does.
Like
Yeah.
he's let the fear of not doing something override, like, hey, people should have a little bit of freedom, but instead he's like, no, let's lock everything down. It's the only way to protect people.
Right.
Yeah,
He
Right.
staying inside a secure place is always the safest, but sometimes you want to go to the corner store and get a beer.
Yeah,
Right.
he's not doing it because he craves power or he's despotic or anything. He's doing it because he sees it as the best way to protect the Federation, because he doesn't think that the leaders will take the steps necessary to do what's needed to be done in order to protect the Federation. And you see that plot happen a bunch in Star Trek, uh, with like the Drumhead episode in the Next
Oh
Generation,
yeah.
how that kind of spirals out of
Yeah.
control. Which that was a parallel to like the McCarthy Red Scare in the 50s kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out he wasn't wrong.
Yeah, like this. You shouldn't be worried about him. You should be worried about me.
Yeah, see, and
See,
here's
and
Odo.
and this is one of those things where, in breaking out Benjamin to try to like dispel some of this paranoia and do the right thing, he's kind of proving everybody right that
Exactly.
they are
Right,
a absolute threat. So this is a risk for both of these guys to be taking.
right.
Yeah.
And he gives her the Vulcan neck pinch too.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a nice touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turns out he could do the Vulcan neck trick and not just the
Well,
Cardassian
that's because
neck trick.
what's not made necessarily very apparent is the changelings are extremely strong.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Right. Which always got me with like Data. Data, you should have had like, you just be like, go into killbot mode, Data, and he's just like punching through people's heads and stuff,
Yeah. Right.
ripping arms off, beating them to death with their own arms.
Resistance is futile.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Hey, buddy, what you gonna do with that gun?
I don't know. I'll think of something. He's like,
I mean,
so they're
because
like,
with
oh,
that, without having
Who
other
is that
information
actor?
or other things like in play, Cisco's really got nothing here. So this guy is understandably like overconfident at this point because he has no idea what's about to happen.
no.
What's the name of this episode again?
Paradise Lost.
Paradise Lost. Here we go.
So, so we find out here that the Defiant is on its way, and Sisko has found their mole in his. That was. Oh.
Oh, Shield clicked the wrong button.
There he is.
That's what this dude's name is. sorry, I want to say he was in this movie called The Prophecy.
So we find out that they had a mole on the Defiant, that he planted something on the in the alpha
Huh.
quadrant, a beta quadrant. What? I get confused. I'm sorry.
It's the gamma.
The
Wait,
gamma quadrant
yeah.
to
Yeah, so
kind
they
of
put something on the
spin
other
the
side,
signal into it.
right, to make to make it open and close erratically.
Yep.
I did not know. Okay, so the guy that plays the admiral, right? His name is Robert Foxworth. He was married to Elizabeth Montgomery. She played uh, the in Bewitched, but she
Hmm.
died in 1995. She died pretty, and they got married in '93. Huh. Hold on. Let's see. He was in. Yeah, he was in Babylon 5.
Who
For a
did he
little while
claim?
until he was
Who,
in
who
this.
who was he in Babylon 5?
Let's see. He played. Whoop. His role in Babylon 5 was. Where'd it go? William Hague for 2 episodes.
Right. He
He
like
was
gets
in.
he gets
He was in
killed or something.
Stargate
Yeah.
SG-1 as Chairman Ashwan. He was in Star Enterprise as Administrator Villas, so he probably had like prosthetics on.
Yeah.
He was in Bones, West Wing, The Librarian, Return to King Solomon. But he was in Sequest, Falcon's Crest. That's where I'd seen him. Uh, let's see, Quincy, Hawaii 5-0, Storefront. But what did I see him in? Transformers, Beyond the Stars, Invisible Stranger, The Prophecy. Yep, that was him. Yeah. Okay. 1979.
So
77.
the Defiant is on its way to Earth with the mole that was working for him that planted that thing. But he's sent the
The Lakota.
Lakota. Thank you. The Lakota out to intercept, saying that the crew of the Defiant are all changeling.
Yeah,
Right.
specifically the orders he's given is to disable and prevent them from getting to Earth.
Right.
But it's a tough little ship.
Little. What?
Yeah, yeah, I know.
So I mean, the Defiant may be a smaller ship, but it is more than a match for
Oh yeah,
the
Yeah,
Lakota. I mean, the
it's got
Lakota
way more
is a
armament.
way older ship too.
mm.
It was the one with transwarp that didn't work. Oh, they're charging weapons and shields.
Yeah, we can take it.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, we're 60% down shields, and it's like, yeah, they've upgraded their weapons.
Yeah, they do mention that the Lakota is hitting a lot harder than that class of ship usually does.
Yeah. So they're like, what do we do? We fight.
Yeah, that's all you got.
I love that little pulse blasting they do. It's cool.
I do like those.
Yeah. It's like, would you like something kind of water? It's calming. Sisko should have said back to him, oh, are you losing your cool? So it's basically, a 50-50 shot here that it's either going Sisko's way or the Admiral's way.
Well, as we find out, it's a little bit more weighted for Sisko and the Defiant whenever Captain calls in and she's like, "Hey, so somebody put a blade of armor on this thing and neglected to tell us."
Yeah, and they probably did it after they caught the mole.
Well, I don't know if that would have been something that the mole would have thought, "Hey, we should send this in," because that would have been something that I think they did fairly early on. But it was one of those things that just got lost in reporting where Starfleet didn't think, "Hey, we should make a note of this."
And two, the chief is also always making adjustments and adding things, and so it's easy for something like that to happen. And he tells her to use their quantum torpedoes. Is that right?
Yes.
It's like,
yes.
And Sisko's like, if you use those, you'll be killing 50 Starfleet officers. But they're both like, both ships are like one shot and they're done.
Yeah, they've exchanged some pretty hefty blows.
You're like, Captain. Yeah, so the other ship stood down. And I think that 2 dead on the Defiant and like 20 casualties on the Lakota.
Something like that, yeah.
It's like, and 2, he says, Sisko says here, is like, she was your most, trustworthy person, and she went against you. So that would turn all the other people against him too.
Yeah, it's not a good look when the teacher's pet says "nuh-uh."
Yeah. And he takes off his pips.
It's like, fine.
He's got no more pips left to give.
No pips to give. I like that.
No pips to give. So on his way out, he's like, I hope you're doing the right thing. And then they start beaming up everybody. Like, saying their goodbyes. It's like, you need to start a Creole restaurant on the promenade. But I haven't eaten that much Creole stuff. I'm Cajun, so it's a little bit different.
Yes, apparently
it's more Caribbean, right? The Creole stuff.
I guess you could say that. They use a lot more like tomatoes and tomato paste in their dishes.
What do Cajuns use instead? Like okra or something?
Well, it's in their sauces and stuff. The Creole sauces, there's a lot more tomato stuff.
Oh, right. Okay. And the Cajun has more spice.
Right. Something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
There's the taste difference too. I've had Creole gumbo, and it has almost the one I had almost had like a sweet flavor to it. And I'm guessing it was the tomato in it.
Right.
All right. I'll just throw this out real quick. Full disclosure: it's an AI summation on my search, so who knows if this is accurate. Cajun food influenced by French Acadian settlers, often described as rustic and intensely flavored, focusing on one-pot meals and using a lot of meat, especially pork and seafood like crawfish. Whereas Creole is associated specifically with New Orleans, It is more refined, incorporating a wider range of ingredients, including tomatoes, and reflecting a blend of French, Spanish, African, and other European influences.
Right. Yep. That's right.
Which one uses the most alligator meat?
I don't know. Whoever lives in the backwoods more.
Yeah.
I've actually never had alligator.
Gator
Really?
and gumbo is pretty good.
Yeah. It's kind of like, have you had scallops before?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of sort of like scallop meat, kind of. If you're,
It's
I'm
kind of
just
a
talking about
cross.
the tail. That's the only thing I've ever had is the tail.
Yeah, gator tail's like a cross between scallops and like really like slow cooked beef as far as
Right.
Okay.
texture.
Kind of
And
almost like frog.
it's very much like oh I hate frogs.
Yeah, I don't like
Never
It
had
is
frog.
it's also very much like frogs actually and catfish and other things where the environment has a lot to do with the
Right.
taste that it
Yep.
comes out of. So if they get so big they're just sitting in the mud all day and they don't really do much, they taste like mud.
Yeah. Same thing with the crawfish too.
Hmm.
Yep. Yep, exactly.
But if you get good crawfish and it's cleaned properly and you get all the mud out of them and stuff, then they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Sisko here is like, no, you take care of yourself and go to the doctor. And his dad's like, is he always this motherly? And Odo's like, he means well.
The racer says, "Damn you all! Now I'm hungry."
It's like, and they're back open for business. Alrighty. Ah,
Whoa! Hold on, I don't need my camera on right now. It's warm in here, so I had to take my hat off, and it wasn't appropriate. There we go. Now I got my hat back on.
there we go. So yeah, there it is.
Yeah. Yeah, that was it. Those were
Couple.
two pretty well written, and it's interesting to see like his dad's restaurant and how his family is and stuff. Um,
Yeah.
Well, I
also
mean, that wasn't
interesting.
even just no pun intended because it was a restaurant, but that just was way more than just flavor for the episodes
Mhm.
because that really brought home and grounded Sisko in how his decisions were affecting the everyday person that just wanted to live their life.
Right.
Right, right. But also it shows that his family comes from like regular people or whatever, um,
Hmm.
as opposed to like a long line of Starfleet people or something
Hmm.
Right.
that he has to live up to or whatnot.
Which, yeah, typically what we've seen is it's always been, at least for the most part, like career lines of like Starfleet folks. Like Geordi, both of his parents were in, and he moved all over the place. So Wesley went to the academy before he ascended, became a higher being. That insufferable.
Shut up,
Never
Wesley.
mind. Family Channel. Um, yeah, it is kind of nice because I think that also plays into the fact that we don't see Jake go into Starfleet,
Yeah.
which
He,
is that's nothing we've really ever seen before. There was always the family line. That's what you did.
right.
Well, and especially with an all volunteer military like today, you see that a lot. Um,
Hmm.
People that it becomes almost like the family business, at least for a little bit, anyways.
Right.
Right.
Also, prior to that, you had the draft, right? So if you ran into a guy on the street, then you were roughly the same age, and you had been brought up between like you know 1950 and 1973. Chances are you got drafted and you did your 2 years,
Yeah.
and it's especially in other countries where it's like mandatory service. You always have that in common with with somebody on the street, you know,
Yeah.
and you'd be surprised how big of a connector that can be to other people, having gone through that same experience.
I mean, I didn't go through that experience, but I've known enough people who did, and I've seen it. Just
Yeah.
meeting a random person where you're like, a buddy of mine's trying to sell a TV to a guy, and he finds out, he's on leave from wherever, and then they end up talking
Hmm.
for a long time. Although there was that one time where one of my buddies still technically in the reserves, or it found out he was talking to a full bird colonel, and he had his spacers in his ears and hadn't shaved, so he was not abiding by the grooming guidelines that he was supposed to, even though he was in his civilian job at the time. He may have pooped himself a little bit when he first found out he was a colonel.
Yeah, yeah, it changes the whole dynamic. But I guess it's like, hey, if you run into somebody and you've played football and they played football, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least you have that
Yeah.
common thing, and you know what it's like to you know do the drills and all that.
Mhm.
But yeah, these were pretty good episodes.
Nice
And
little
it's
dive into
right.
paranoia and overreaction.
Mhm. And it's building up to the actual coming conflict, which I think the show does a decent job of building up and
Mhm.
building up.
Yeah, it does.
Yep.
I was just gonna say I noticed Beard's gun back there. It's a
Well,
an old timey phaser back there.
oh
No, that's
yeah,
that's the
I know that
that's
I
for
used.
the
I played with that too. But
yeah, that's for the
yeah.
Nintendo,
Now,
I think.
now that I'm appearing in HD, people can actually see my background.
Yeah.
Except for this one, where my light is reflecting off of the Winchester. What was it,
Nice.
Oh, is that what
1886?
that is? I thought it was like your high school diploma or
1866.
something.
Yeah. No, no. I'm not proud of that.
Yeah. I don't even know where mine's at. I got it somewhere.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was the episodes were very thought provoking too, and very they applicable to our time and how easily stuff can change. I mean, we were talking about how
Yeah.
fast technology changes. Also, stuff like this can happen pretty fairly
Right.
quickly too.
I mean, and there is a subset of Star Trek fans, usually folks who grew up with the original series and then Next Generation, that didn't and may still not don't really like how Deep Space Nine gets into gray areas. But I think Deep Space Nine did it way better than what we ended up seeing start like modern Trek try to do. Is you actually do sometimes in things like this see both sides of the argument and realize that there's not a great solution, because either you open yourself up to like, attacks from this force that can absolutely infiltrate anything perfectly, or you lock everything down and take everybody's freedoms away. And so Deep Space Nine, I think, did a really good job of making you actually kind of see both sides of an argument or of the conflict or whatever like that. But it did get a little bit more gray area than a lot of Star Trek that had come before, which was here's good, here's bad, good beat bad sort of thing. And um, I don't have a problem with it. I really like it. I think it was well done, but I do understand how some people who really kind of grew up very binary black and white Star Trek might not necessarily like this series very much.
I liked it because it was more okay, so they had like in TNG and even in the original, you had the ship, but this was more of it was a place. Like it was almost like it was taking place on a planet, right? And the station was its own character, basically.
Right.
And just like the way the stories went, and then I liked the cast pretty well. Um, I mean, who doesn't like looking at
Agreed.
Dax, right? And
Yeah.
so I really enjoyed that aspect of the show.
It does let you really develop a lot more of the kind of ancillary characters or bring them more
Right.
into it. That was always kind of weird when Next Generation tried to do it, because ultimately that ship's function was exploration, diplomacy, conflict, that sort of thing. So that's kind of what you expected everything to evolve around. And if it was just a family member of some officer on board, it didn't always work to try to shoehorn them into a storyline. But on a station like this, that is as much about travel, people visiting, people leaving, working the traffic through the wormhole, the conflict with the Dominion, the Cardassians and Bajoran, everything right there kind of culminates in one area, which gives you a lot of variety for storytelling and diving into characters that usually or previously may have been just overlooked.
Right. Right. Uh, uh, yeah, I like that it doesn't just stick with Starfleet. It delves into the Klingons and a little bit into the Romulans, and so you get kind of a taste of all three of different groups and stuff.
Right.
The Cardassians, which were kind of weird when they first showed up, but
I liked them.
they kind of grow on you.
Yeah, I liked them. I liked that they have different cultures and they look different, and like the women, the little spoon thing on their head, they like eyeshadow it blue. I
Yeah,
thought that was kind of cool.
like a
Uh,
like a
Well,
reptile.
yeah.
and they don't. I guess eventually they kind of get into some of it in Deep Space Nine towards the end when you start seeing uh, like the military or the civilian government overthrow the military government is and Next Generation. Some of the interactions we have with Cardassians is you do find out they're much more complex. Where you've got these career military guys that have served for since before the military took over everything, and they've kind of seen the degradation of their society and realized that maybe things aren't necessarily going the right way anymore. So that you gives the entire society of the Cardassians a little bit more depth.
The thing about
Right.
Deep Space Nine is post Dominion War, it starts to kind of go off the rails a little bit. Well, Dax left and you got Ezri Dax, and I was like, eh. And then they had all this Kai Wynn stuff and weird, like,
Yeah.
let's make episodes about, we'll put the actors that always have to wear prosthetics. Instead, we'll just put them in a scene where it's like 1930s pulp magazine headquarters and their writers and
I
stuff.
actually love that episode. It's one of my favorites. You back off, I'll fight you.
And and then Cisco's like insane in a room writing on walls and stuff, and it just got kind of weird. And then Kai Wynn is like shacking up with Gul Dukat, but he's not
Yeah,
a Cardassian anymore, and it just started getting like really, really weird.
yeah, they do start delving a little bit more into the Bajoran mythology there towards the end. But I think it was they kind of wrote themselves into a corner where I think they had to do it to wrap things
Yeah.
up.
Right? Yeah.
They
And but
intertwined it so much in with the show that they had to kind of address it.
yeah,
But I think that the writers really were like, I want to extend my writing chops and all this kind of stuff, and it started getting like kind of weird. Um, and some of it worked and some of it didn't. And then I think some of the budgets fell off, and people were, the show went on
I
for a good amount of time,
like what 8 years,
something
seven
like
years,
that. I think
something
it was
like
Yeah.
like
that.
Yeah. Something like that.
7 seasons, and they were not these like 6 seasons, 6 episode seasons like we get nowadays. These were legit all work 24 episodes a season with no, you know what I mean, breakneck pace to get them all out and done correctly. And
Yeah,
that's a huge pace. That's a strong pace to keep up for so many years.
I will say, as weird as some of the stuff got towards the end, and my joking threat aside, I legitimately do like that episode where it's is the Star Trek Deep Space Nine universe existing in this man's head being written
Mhm.
out in a pulp short story book or short story magazine. And us as the viewers, yeah, we understand that that is the reality, and that everything else that Cisco was seeing in that episode was just kind of metaphorical. Stand alone, just as that episode, I really like it because it kind of reminds me. What's the thing? It's the a bishop was dreaming or asleep dreaming of a grasshopper standing on his chest, uh, also sleeping, and the grasshopper was dreaming of sleeping on top of a bishop's chest as he was sleeping. So which one is dreaming the other person? Is a bishop dreaming the grasshopper, or is a grasshopper dreaming
I
the
don't know.
bishop?
I've never heard of that before.
I think I actually heard that first in one of the Ender's Game books. So it may
Ah,
have been made up for that story, but it stuck with me. Is kind of this like perception. I was like, who in that instance is in charge of quote unquote reality? And that's why one of the reasons I really do like that episode with Benny writing the story of Ben Sisko
hmm
is, in that instance, self-contained, whose reality is less real than the other one.
I remember. Yeah, he was doing some writing, and he's like, "I have these stories and these ideas," and they were like, "You're a black guy. We can't use them." And because it was the time that it was in. But then you had the guy that plays Quark, and he was like this weird little bald dude, and
That's just how he looks. Don't call
right.
him weird.
But you weren't used to seeing him out of makeup and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you also get Martog out of makeup in that as well. And
Right. Yep.
that's
Yeah.
fine.
You had. I think wasn't Worf out of makeup in that? I think so.
Yes,
I think he
he was a
was.
football
Yeah.
player.
Yeah. Yep. So it's really good, and I guess it was like an episode. They were like, "Look, you guys are always in this makeup. We'll throw you a bone. People get to
It
see
it
your
it does.
acting, like without
Yeah,
all that
it
stuff
does kind of
on."
stand out
Yeah.
in the overarching story of Deep Space Nine, or even just that season. You spend 45 minutes watching a story that means about 5 minutes of plot to everything else. So yeah, it does feel a little bit out of place. I think it's good enough to stand on its own as an interesting story, but yeah, overall, it didn't actually really need to be there. It didn't contribute a lot to the season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
But that's
Right.
what happens when sometimes you get interesting writing, and sometimes something can stand on its own feet and still feel kind of out of place for everything else.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks for hanging and talking Star Trek. I'm not sure what episodes we'll do next month, but I'll get those up pretty quick.
Yeah.
I will
Just
be um, making up schedules again now that I'm moved. So
okay. Well, I'm glad that you're all getting settled in and everything. Uh, and you got a, hopefully, I hope you got a better place, or at least one as good as the old place and everything. So, I mean, your
well,
internet seems
it
better.
is in town. Yeah, that's better. It is in town, which we're not really thrilled about, but it had to be done, and
Right.
so
Do you still have chickens, or did you have to get rid of
yeah,
all?
we that's actually one of the last things we got to move is the chickens. So
Mm.
got to give 4 of them away, and we get to keep the rest. So
Mm.
got to get rid of the rooster, which actually is probably a good thing because he's been pretty route and pretty nasty lately. Every time my mom goes out there to gather eggs or feed him, he tries to attack. She's
Huh.
got to
Yeah.
she's got to take the broom out there with her.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. A little fricassee, and
Why has the rooster got to be a dick? There's wordplay there. Y'all got to figure it
Yes,
out.
yes.
yeah.
There is wordplay there.
But yeah, little fricassee. Um, yeah. Yep.
Yep.
31 or 11 herbs and spices. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something you can make out of that rooster.
Right.
Gumbo. Beard, what you got anything you want to plug?
Let's see. Coming up next this Saturday night on After the Weekend, we've actually got a Bigfoot special. I forget the name of the movie itself, but we're looking at the Mystery Science Theater roast of a old Bigfoot movie.
Oh, okay.
But mostly outside of that, that's actually just kind of the impetus for everything else. Is we have a couple of guests, Alaska Jeff, and I want to say it's R2's nephew. It's one of his relatives that
Okay.
both have firsthand Bigfoot stories. So I'm looking forward to getting
Oh,
into
cool.
that. Because
That'll be fun.
I've always been one of those that I don't discount it as being completely false. I think in most cryptids there is a historical like jumping off point that
Origin,
leads
yeah.
to everything else. but I'm also not completely opposed to the fact that we don't know everything,
Yeah,
so there
right.
could be something. So check us
So,
out on After the Weekend for that. That's going to be this Saturday night. If you want some specifics or just to find links, you can follow After the Weekend on X, and we'll probably post something there.
yeah, I think I've got your link tree down in the comments. There should be a link to After the Weekend in that.
And people can follow me on X as well. I just got a message mid show about something, and there may be something else coming up. I got to try to work some stuff out. So people can follow me there. One day,
All right,
maybe
cool.
eventually, I'll start streaming again. Who knows? I'm just
Alrighty,
start
cool.
playing games. Who knows?
Yeah, but I always enjoy hanging out when you're playing games. So that'll be good. Good for you to get back to that. I enjoy it. Uh, Shield Wall.
Hey, thanks for having me on. This was great. Thanks to the chat for being here. Let's see. On Thursday, I'm going to be on Roman of the Empire's channel, and we will be reviewing the 1956 movie Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which is a classic. Yeah, that's a good one. And then there was a 1978 version as well, but we're doing the 1956 version. So it's a real classic during that like height of the high quality um, 1950s science fiction. So tune in for that. And
And I
whatever we're
believe I don't want to step on your dragon toes, but somebody who was in the chat, at least for some of the show, Sergeant Gear Garantia, I'm probably
Yeah.
butchering that. I think is going to be joining y'all. So
okay, really? All right.
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm not
Cool.
I didn't get like the guest list or anything. So um and then whatever we're doing next week on the show, I will be
Yep.
there.
Next week on this show, we will be doing the Fellowship of the Ring.
The movie,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
oh, we're going to have to move on that one, or we're going to be 4 hours.
Yes. Yeah. I
That might
figured
be a
out a way.
two-parter. We'll
I
figure it out.
figured out a way.
Because there's a I thought there was an wait, that's just specifically called The Return of the King, the Ralph Bakshi animated one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so okay, yeah. I'll be
Looking
yeah,
forward
okay,
to
so I'll
that.
be here for that. Yep.
Yeah. That'll be fun.
That is
Um,
my favorite movie of the trilogy, by the way.
yeah. Mine too.
The first one.
I like all of them, but that one's
Yeah,
like
I do like all of them, but the first one
peak
was the best. I
for
feel
me.
like the combat and like all the stuff was more grounded. A lot of less of guys sliding around on elephant trunks and jumping around and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So tomorrow I'll be on the Eclectic Goats channel talking Daybreak. It's
Oh yeah, that show. Yep. Yeah, I
it's
caught
a
a little bit of those streams.
it's one of those uh, rinse, dry, and repeat shows. So
Right.
pretty good. It's
All right.
pretty good so far. There's some technical things that are kind of but it's not too bad so far. But we're only into like the third episode, so
Mm.
I'll be
It
doing
was only
that
one
tomorrow night.
season, right? Was it only one season?
Right. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
So and then on Roman show for the uh, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and then I'm not sure, but I might be on something Friday night. Not sure, but
Ooh.
but then my show next week. So that's all I got.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and also kind of piggyback on what Shieldwall was saying earlier. Thanks to Eraserhead for sticking with us. He says, no, Ralph Bakshi's is just Lord of the Rings. It covers Fellowship and Towers. And Rankin and Bass did Return of the King. I did confirm that, Eraserhead. You are correct. Rankin and Bass did Return of the King.
Oh, the Ralph Bakshi one is the one where they used the Ivanhoe live action and rotoscoped over it like cheaply, kind of, making it
Yeah,
look like
something like
orcs and
that.
stuff. Yeah. And then the
But
other,
yes.
or no, wait, or maybe I'm thinking of the other one. The rank, or it's the Rankin and Bass one that did that. The Rankin and Bass one is the same ones that did like the Hobbit, right, where it's like the hobbits are real short and squat with super curly hair.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
That's like the
and they've
Hobbit.
got the they've got that song where there's a whip, there's a
Okay.
where
I
there's a
just love that we're going to be we're
yeah.
already like dipping our toes in the Lord of the Rings, and anyone who knows it is going to be shouting at their screen right now.
Yeah.
What? No.
So everybody, get down there in the comments and correct Shieldwall
Yeah.
politely, please.
Yes. Mando better be
Oh, she
on next
better.
week. Come on.
Yeah, she'll be there.
Yeah, I think I did do. It was like the anniversary of Lord of the Rings, and like we just talked about uh, all of the movies in one show. I mean, didn't go into depth,
Mm-hmm.
but just kind of roughly went over them. And I think it was Mando. Yeah, Mando. Mando was one of the first people, and Ark Azul. I haven't talked to him in a while.
Nice.
Need to get back in touch with him.
Well, just
But yeah,
heads up, Eraserhead says there'll be the Lord Keeper in the chat next week, so I'm looking
alrighty.
forward to that. Keep us in line.
All right, sounds good. But yeah, that's all I got. Y'all have a good one, and it's just I am working on an outro. Don't worry, there'll be an outro next week. But right for now, it's just a hard out.
Yeah.
Bye, y'all.
Yeah.